Introduction. I am Pushpesh Naik, and I have had the opportunity to work across 4 continents with some of the world's leading companies, traveling to over 65 countries. As a chartered professional engineer from Engineers Australia and an MBA graduate from UNSW, Sydney, I am pleased to share insights into the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits offers a practical and proven framework for developing beneficial habits and eliminating detrimental ones. Utilizing scientific research and real-life examples, it demonstrates how minor adjustments in behavior can lead to the formation of new habits and help you achieve significant goals. About the author. James Clear is both an author and entrepreneur who specializes in habits and their capacity to support self-improvement. Through a weekly newsletter read by hundreds of thousands, Clear discusses the science of habits and human behavior, sharing anecdotes from his own experiences and those of high achievers in business, sports, the arts, and other domains. What will this presentation cover? Discover how small habits can have a substantial impact on your life. What positive change do you wish to implement in your life? Perhaps you aim to adopt a healthier diet, read more, learn a new language, or master a musical instrument. Whatever your aspirations, actualizing and maintaining them can be challenging. Simply intending to consume more salads does not guarantee you will. Merely stating you will read more does not ensure you will choose a novel over binge-watching television. This is where habits play a crucial role. I will guide you through the key concepts from James Clear's bestseller, Atomic Habits. We will explore how achieving substantial changes in your life does not necessitate major disruptions. You do not need to overhaul your behavior or reinvent yourself. Instead, by making small changes and repeating them consistently, these actions can become habits that produce significant outcomes. Let us begin. Minor habits can exert a remarkably significant influence on your life. To begin, envision an aircraft preparing for departure from Los Angeles bound for New York City. The pilot inputs all the accurate information into the aircraft's navigation system, and the plane ascends in the correct direction. However, shortly after takeoff, the pilot inadvertently alters the plane's course. The adjustment is a mere 3.5 degrees, almost imperceptible, just a few feet. The aircraft's nose shifts slightly to one side, unnoticed by the pilot or the passengers. Yet, over the course of the journey across the United States, the repercussions of this minor change would be substantial. Upon reaching the end of their journey, the passengers, along with the pilot, would find themselves landing in Washington, D.C. instead of New York City. Why share this with you? It illustrates that, much like the unaware pilot, we often overlook small changes in our lives. Small changes have a minimal immediate effect. If you are currently out of shape and decide to jog for 20 minutes, you will still be out of shape the following day. If you consume a large pizza for dinner, it will not lead to overnight weight gain. However, repeating these small actions consistently results in significant outcomes. Consuming pizza daily may lead to noticeable weight gain over a year. Conversely, jogging for 20 minutes daily will eventually make you leaner and fitter, even though the transformation may not be immediately apparent. The primary insight is evident. Minor habits can have a remarkably significant impact on your life, though the effects may not be visible in real time. The outcomes of your habits will become apparent after some time. It is important to recognize that the absence of immediate results can be disheartening. If you find yourself discouraged by the lack of immediate positive change, focus on your current trajectory rather than your current outcomes. For instance, if you have a small amount of money saved and continue to save monthly, your current results may not appear impressive. Your savings may still be modest. However, you can be assured that your trajectory is correct. Persist in this direction, and over the ensuing months or years, you will witness significant improvement. When the absence of visible progress dampens your spirits, remember that you are taking the right steps and moving in the correct direction. But how do you ensure you are on the right trajectory? You must cultivate habits. In the next slide, we will explore how they are formed. When you enter a dark room, you instinctively know what to do next. Habits are automated behaviors that we have learned through experience. You instinctively reach for a light switch. This action is a habit, a behavior repeated to the point of automaticity. Such habits permeate our daily lives, from brushing our teeth to driving our cars. They hold significant sway over us. But how are they developed? In the 19th century, a psychologist named Edward Thorndike sought to answer this question. Please note, his experiments were not particularly kind to cats. Here is how he investigated the formation of habits. First, he placed some cats inside a box. Any cat owner will understand the challenge this posed. He then measured the time it took for them to escape. Initially, each cat reacted predictably, seeking a way out. They sniffed, pawed at corners, and clawed at walls. Eventually, a cat would discover a lever that, when activated, opened a door, allowing escape. Thorndike then took the successful cats and repeated the experiment by placing them back in the box. What did he observe? After several attempts, each cat learned the solution. Instead of frantically searching for more than a minute, the cats went directly to the lever. After 20 or 30 trials, the average, and by then quite weary, cat would escape in just 6 seconds. In essence, the escape process became habitual for the cats. Through his experiment, Thorndike uncovered a significant insight. Behaviors yielding satisfying outcomes like gaining freedom tend to be repeated until they become automatic. We have expanded our understanding of habits since Thorndike's time. We now recognize that habits consist of several elements. Initially, there is the cue, a trigger for action. Entering a dark room prompts an action to enable vision. This is followed by a craving for a state change, in this case, transitioning from darkness to light. Next is the response or action, such as flipping the light switch. The final step in the process and the objective of every habit is the reward. Here it is the sense of relief and comfort from seeing one's surroundings. Every habit follows this process. Do you drink coffee each morning? Waking up serves as your cue, prompting a craving for alertness. Your response is to get out of bed and prepare a cup of coffee. Your reward is the feeling of being awake and ready to face the day. Upon waking, there is a sense of relief. Your reward is the readiness to tackle the day. Now that you understand how habits function, consider how you can cultivate beneficial habits to enhance your life. Developing new habits requires noticeable cues and a structured plan. We have just explored the process of habit formation. Let's briefly summarize. A habit consists of 4 components: a cue, which is a trigger that prompts action; a craving, which is the desire to achieve something; a response, which is the action of the habit itself; and a reward, which is the positive feeling derived from completing the habit. Understanding this process allows you to effectively cultivate productive habits. Consider your goal of learning to play the guitar. You have the instrument and know the basics, but maintaining a consistent practice schedule is challenging. Each morning, you resolve to practice later, yet the day concludes without picking up your guitar. Now, with insight into habit formation, you can utilize this knowledge to your benefit. To ensure you practice, make the cue to pick up your guitar unmistakable. Instead of storing it in a cupboard or a spare room corner, position it prominently in your living room. Ensure it is visible and unavoidable. This strategy will facilitate transforming your desire to practice into a habit. By modifying your environment to highlight your cues, you enhance your likelihood of success. To refine your triggers further, you can employ implementation intentions. What are these? Typically, when setting good habits, we are too vague about our intentions. We claim, I'm going to eat better, or I'm going to learn the guitar, and rely on hope to follow through. Implementation intentions provide clarity. Implementation intentions present a specific plan of action. They designate when and where you will engage in the habit you wish to establish. Let's revisit the guitar example. Rather than vaguely stating you will practice guitar at some point during the week, commit to practicing on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Set your alarm, and when it rings, the first task will be to practice guitar for 1 hour. Remember to keep your guitar in plain sight. By forming an implementation intention, you create both a clear plan and an obvious cue, making it surprisingly easier to develop a positive habit. Let's pause momentarily in our discussion. You might wonder if this approach truly works. Is it possible to adjust your environment and facilitate the formation of positive habits? While it seems plausible theoretically, what about in practice? To address this, consider the work of Dr. Anne Thorndike, a Boston-based physician. Dr. Thorndike encountered a common challenge among health professionals, encouraging patients to improve their dietary and snacking habits. She recognized the difficulty of making conscious decisions to eat healthier, given the willpower and discipline required. Given that willpower and discipline are not limitless, Dr. Thorndike and her colleagues devised a study. They rearranged the hospital cafeteria, replacing the soda in refrigerators near the cash registers with bottled water and placing water baskets throughout the cafeteria. Dr. Thorndike and her team observed the results. Over 3 months, soda sales declined by 11%, while water sales increased by over 25%. By providing more cues to choose water, Dr. Thorndike and her team facilitated healthier choices without requiring conscious decisions. This demonstrates that modifying your environment can support the adoption of better habits. Humans are driven by the anticipation of reward. Thus, making habits appealing will enhance adherence to them. We are now approximately halfway through our examination of atomic habits. We have explored the significance of habits, their formation, and how to leverage habit cues to our benefit. It is now appropriate to address the reward aspect of habit formation. In 1954, neuroscientists James Olds and Peter Milner conducted an experiment to investigate the neuroscience underlying desire. Through the use of electrodes, they inhibited the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine in certain rats. The findings were unexpected. The laboratory rats completely lost the will to live. Devoid of dopamine, they lacked the desire to eat, drink, reproduce, or engage in any other activity. Within a few days, they all perished from dehydration. This unsettling narrative illustrates one fundamental point. Dopamine is an essential motivator. When we engage in activities that are beneficial for our survival, such as eating, drinking, and reproduction, dopamine is released, resulting in a pleasurable sensation. This pleasurable feeling incentivizes us to repeat these beneficial actions. Up to this point, the concept is clear, but how does it relate to habit formation? Interestingly, we do not necessarily need to engage in a pleasurable activity to experience a dopamine surge. The mere anticipation of engaging in something pleasurable suffices to stimulate dopamine production. Within the brain's reward system, the desire for something is equivalent to obtaining it. This principle can be leveraged to our advantage. When establishing a new habit, if we associate it with something we anticipate eagerly, the likelihood of consistently performing it increases. This brings us to the concept of temptation bundling. Temptation bundling involves pairing a necessary but unattractive behavior with an activity that is naturally appealing. This is how one can utilize dopamine effectively when developing a new habit. Consider the example of Ronan Byrne, an engineering student from Ireland. Ronan recognized the need for increased physical activity, yet he derived little satisfaction from exercising. However, he enjoyed watching Netflix. Who does not? Consequently, Ronan modified an exercise bike. He connected the bike to his laptop and developed software that only allowed Netflix to function if he maintained a specific cycling speed. By integrating exercise with an activity he found inherently appealing, he transformed an undesirable task into an enjoyable one. It is not necessary to design an elaborate Netflix exercise bike setup to implement this strategy in your own life. There are more straightforward methods to achieve this. For instance, if you are required to exercise but wish to stay updated with the latest celebrity news, you could restrict reading magazines to gym sessions. Alternatively, if you desire to watch sports but need to make sales calls, reward yourself with a half hour of ESPN after speaking with your 10th prospect. Simply find a way to make those essential yet unattractive tasks enjoyable, and you will ride a wave of dopamine while cultivating positive habits simultaneously. To establish a new habit, simplify the process of adopting it. Creating a habit that is enjoyable significantly increases the likelihood of its persistence. Another effective strategy in habit formation is to simplify the habit itself. Behaviors that require minimal effort tend to become ingrained in our routines. For example, activities like browsing social media or snacking are appealing due to their simplicity. Conversely, activities such as completing 100 push-ups or learning Mandarin are challenging and demand considerable effort, which is why they are less likely to become habitual in our leisure time. By reducing the complexity of desired habits, we enhance the probability of them becoming routine. Fortunately, there are several methods to achieve this. The initial method is to minimize friction. Here's an explanation of this concept. James Clear often neglects to send greeting cards. In contrast, his wife consistently sends them for every occasion. The reason is straightforward. She maintains a collection of pre-sorted greeting cards at home, categorized by occasion. This small amount of preparation simplifies the process of sending congratulations, condolences, or any appropriate message. She avoids the need to purchase a card each time someone gets married or secures a new job, thereby reducing the effort involved. Friction operates in two directions. It can be decreased to facilitate the formation of beneficial habits, or it can be increased to eliminate undesirable ones. For instance, to reduce time spent watching television, one might unplug the device and remove the batteries from the remote control. This introduces enough inconvenience to ensure viewing only occurs when genuinely intended. This is the essence of friction. The second method to simplify habit formation over time is known as the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule helps make any new activity seem achievable. The principle is that any behavior can be transformed into a habit that can be completed in 2 minutes. For instance, if the goal is to read more, the commitment should not be to finish one book weekly. Instead, cultivate a habit of reading 2 pages each night. Similarly, if the objective is to run a marathon, commit to merely putting on running attire after work each day. The 2-minute rule fosters easily attainable habits, small successes that can lead to more significant achievements. Once you have your running shoes on, you'll likely proceed to go for a run. Once you begin reading 2 pages, you will probably continue. Simply initiating an action is the first and most crucial step towards accomplishing a task. We are approaching the conclusion now. Ensuring that your habits provide immediate satisfaction is crucial for successful behavior modification. Before we conclude, let's discuss the final principle for utilizing habits to enhance your life. To illustrate this, we will delve into the story of a distinguished public health researcher named Stephen Luby. During the 1990s, Luby conducted his work in a neighborhood in Karachi, Pakistan, where he excelled in his role. He achieved a remarkable reduction in diarrhea cases among local children by 52%. Additionally, he decreased pneumonia rates by 48% and lowered the risk of heart disease by 50%. Furthermore, he reduced skin infection rates by 35%. What was his secret? High-quality soap. Indeed, that was the key. Luby's substantial public health accomplishments were attributed to superior soap. He understood that hand washing and basic sanitation were vital for minimizing illness. The local population was aware of this as well, yet they were not transforming their knowledge into habitual practice. Consequently, Luby collaborated with Procter & Gamble to introduce a premium soap to the neighborhood at no cost. Overnight, hand washing became an enjoyable experience. The new soap lathered effortlessly and had a pleasant fragrance. Suddenly, hand washing became a widespread practice because it was now an appealing activity. Stephen Luby's narrative highlights the final and most significant principle for behavioral change. Habits must be gratifying. Making positive behavior satisfying can be challenging due to human evolution. In today's world, we exist in what is termed a delayed return environment. You report to work today, but the compensation, a paycheck, does not arrive until the end of the month. You exercise in the morning, yet weight loss does not occur instantly. Unfortunately, our brains evolved to adapt to an immediate return environment. Our distant ancestors were not concerned with long-term returns like saving for retirement or adhering to a diet. They prioritized immediate needs such as finding their next meal, seeking shelter, and staying alert to evade nearby threats. This focus on immediate returns can promote detrimental habits. Smoking may result in lung cancer in 20 years, but in the present moment, it alleviates stress and satisfies the craving for nicotine. The immediate relief from a cigarette often surpasses the long-term health consequences. Consequently, when developing habits with a delayed return, it is essential to incorporate some form of immediate gratification. This concept is best illustrated by the experience of a couple known to the author. This couple aimed to dine out less, cook more, improve their health, and save money. These objectives have delayed returns. To provide their goals with an immediate incentive, they established a savings account named Trip to Europe. Each time they refrained from dining out, they transferred $50 to the account. The short-term satisfaction of witnessing $50 accumulate in the savings account offered the immediate gratification necessary to maintain their progress toward the ultimate long-term reward. With this understanding, we have learned how to cultivate effective habits. Develop a structured approach to maintain your habits effectively by utilizing trackers and contracts. Despite our best efforts to make our habits enjoyable and rewarding, we may still struggle to sustain them. In this concluding section, we will explore strategies to uphold our positive intentions. One effective method for reinforcing new habits is habit tracking. Historically, numerous individuals have achieved success by meticulously recording their habits. A prominent example is Benjamin Franklin. Beginning at the age of 20, Franklin maintained a journal to document his adherence to 13 personal virtues. These virtues included objectives such as avoiding trivial conversations and ensuring productivity. Each evening, Franklin would evaluate his progress in each area. You can emulate Franklin's approach by employing a straightforward calendar or diary, marking each day you successfully adhere to your chosen behaviors. It proves to be highly effective. Habit tracking is inherently a rewarding practice. The anticipation and activity of marking each day as complete will provide satisfaction and maintain your motivation. Additionally, I suggest establishing a habit contract that enforces consequences should you deviate from your goals. Brian Harris, an entrepreneur from Nashville, exemplified this approach. He formalized a contract with his wife and personal trainer, committing to reduce his weight to 200 pounds by identifying specific habits to achieve this goal. These habits included daily food intake tracking and weekly weigh-ins. He also instituted penalties for non-compliance. If he failed to track his food intake, he would pay $100 to his trainer. Failure to weigh himself would incur a $400 penalty and a $500 penalty to his wife. This strategy was effective, driven by his desire not only to avoid financial loss, but also to maintain respect in the eyes of two significant individuals. Humans, as social creatures, value the perceptions of those around them. The awareness that someone is observing your progress can serve as a strong motivator for success. Therefore, consider establishing a habit contract for yourself. Even if it is not as detailed as Brian Harris's, consider making a commitment to a partner, close friend, or colleague. Agreeing on a set of consequences for not following through will significantly increase your likelihood of adhering to your habits. As we have discussed, maintaining a positive habit, no matter how small, is a reliable path to achieving substantial accomplishments. This concludes our presentation. Conclusion. Final summary. Here's what we've learned. Thank you for watching. And I'd like to leave you with one final piece of advice. Use habit stacking to introduce new behaviors. If you want to build a new habit, you could try stacking it on top of an existing habit. Let's say you want to start meditating, but you're struggling to find the time. Try thinking about those things you do effortlessly each day, like drinking coffee in the morning. Then just stack the new habit on top. Commit to meditating each morning when you've finished your coffee and build on the natural momentum that comes from a habit you already have. That's it. I've been Pushpesh, and thank you for going on this journey with me through Atomic Habits. If you're interested to know a bit more about the science of habits, then you could listen to my exploration of Peter Duhigg's Power of Habits. Thanks again.